what it means to be called by God. Many times people assume that when you talk about calling, they assume that you are either a pastor or a prophet. So when we tell people you are called, they say, I'm not called, I'm not a pastor, I'm not a pastor. It is because people have no understanding or zero understanding of what the call of God is. We have limited the calling of God to pulpit. So when somebody looks and say, you are called, he said, no, I'm not called. So we need to bring a scriptural perspective, scriptural understanding to what it means to be called by God and what it means to be gifted by God. Now, somebody said that there are three kinds of call. He said there is what we call lower call. There's what we call the mid call. That's the middle call. And then there is what the Bible called the higher call. The one we are talking about is the higher call. Now, the lower call is your career, a job you get by certificate. Even a professor is under that category. It's a lower call. If all you are living for is what your certificate can afford you, and you have cheated yourself. Because when you get before the Father, it is irrelevant. Listen to me. Certificate only has natural value. It has no eternal value. Now, I'm not saying you should not get certificate. I have one. No. Going to school is not wrong. Having a certificate is good to start somewhere. But if that's all you have and that's where you stop, then something is wrong. You have cheated yourself. Life is beyond that. When you stand before the Lord, you're not going to talk about that. God doesn't talk about that. Now, the second kind of call is the mid call. That is the call that came as a result of your talent, your gifting. That's why you hear an athlete, somebody who runs, is paid more than a professor. That's a mid call. What you do with your talent, your skills. A footballer is earning more than a vice chancellor. How many of you know that? You don't know? Praise God. What you do, and a musician, some of these guys, do you understand what I'm saying now? It comes back, but that's another ladder. Okay, don't stop there. Now, the last one, which is the highest calling, is the calling that comes as a result of your assignment. That's the one heaven recognized. In Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5, he said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. When your parents formed you in the womb, that's not where you started. You existed in the mind of God before you were formed. Am I speaking to somebody here now? Your parents may look at you and say, I didn't even plan. When we gave back to you, actually, okay, I've had a story of a woman who hated the child, their lastborn. I mean, lastborn are loved, but this particular one was not loved, was hated. And the reason for that hatred is because the mother said she's not going to give birth again when this child suddenly come around. So their anger, she vet it on the child. So your parent can look at her and say, we've made up our mind that we are not going to give birth again. We didn't know you are going to come, okay? But God says, I already know you are going to come. That you are not a mistake. Before you were formed in the womb, God is saying, I knew thee. I already know you. You existed in my mind. So you came from God. God is our source. Your parent is just a vehicle that God used is in bringing you to the earth. But the real place you came from is God. You came from God. You are sourced by God. So God is saying, before you were formed in the womb, I knew thee. He said, before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified. The word sanctified is to be separated for use. You separate something for yourself, so other people come around, you are not using that particular thing for them. You sanctify that. Our parents had this kind of ajashe, in Yoruba. How many of you, they put it on wardrobes? If your parent is like my parents, they only use it Christmas, they just bring it down. After Christmas, they wash it again and return it back to the wardrobe. And they use it sometimes to serve people in the... So as you are giving it to the person, and say, like they say, I should collect the plate when I'm coming back. It's much more important to our parent than the food. It's separated. Am I speaking to somebody? And there's a particular one that our father used. It's just separate. You can't use it to serve any other person. It's like heaven will come down. Okay, like my daddy comes from work now. He's coming from outside and enter and see a visitor using. He will look again. You understand what I'm saying? It's sanctified. It's separated. Am I speaking to somebody here? So God says, listen, I have sanctified. I have separate you unto myself. That means you belong to me.